Wow, it's just beautiful animal. You study these guys out in the wild and you only get to see the top part of them, but to look at the whole animal, it's awesome as to how large they really are. You never get appreciation of that just at the surface.
I was taking a shower and I looked out the window and I saw what I thought was a dorsal fin, but it ended up being a tail.
I got a call from Wilma, in fact Jerry Zari, and he says, there's a huge whale out here. So I didn't know exactly what to expect, so I grabbed my camera and I came running over here, and we walked out on the point here, and here was this huge whale.
We'll be able to see her in a different light, in the skeleton remains. And but the spirit path is already started.
A tragic accident that no one wanted. Everyone feels horrible about this. But what an opportunity. I mean, how often, this doesn't happen where something like this washes on the beach where it's almost accessible. And I thought, geez, if we could salvage this and somehow get the skeleton and do a restoration of the skeleton for a permanent exhibit in Fort Bragg here, what a wonderful thing that would be for educational purposes, for tourism, and to help protect this wonderful animal.
It's a very exciting opportunity for not only scientists but our community as well to save this kind of thing for a scientific purpose, for educational purpose, even for tourism purposes.
We have just been asking people to help us left and right, and you know, who knows how to do this? It's not like anyone around here has ever been involved with a project like this, so we're in uncharted territory. So we started working. We started, you know, what can you know, and this is, we know, look, you're talking a 70-ton whale. Either it's got to go out to the ocean, it's got to be pulled up a 40-foot bluff. There's no funding, there's no help. You have to do it in 5 seconds because this animal is going to deteriorate rapidly. You know, we explored trying to haul the whale out to the ocean first. And we had a lot of commercial fishermen out here take a look-see, and they shook their heads and they said, that's not going to work. You know, you'd have to have the boat a quarter mile out to get it past the rocks, and then you'd have to have expensive cabling coming, and the cabling's going to get wrecked on the rocks, and it's not going to work. I contacted a diving service company, and he said, you know, sure, I'd like to be involved, but, you know, I can do that, and I'll bring my special cable that won't get wrecked on the rocks, but you'll have to hire a helicopter, and that's going to be $15,000 just to lay the cable. We started looking more closely at hauling it up the cliff. Okay, we're going to need heavy equipment. What kind of heavy? We don't know anything about heavy equipment. So, you know, but I know people that have heavy equipment. So I called Jeff Green. Jeff said, you know, look, I've got my equipment right here. I'm willing to take a try. Let's try. What can we lose? And they pulled that whale up 75 feet. There was a crowd of students here. There was a cheer. People were crying and screaming when that whale came up. It was so exciting. I was crying. I couldn't believe it.
And this has been an amazing collaborative process between the local guys with the heavy equipment who work in the forest here, really know how to move large stuff, and us on the bottom who know the anatomy and where to cut and all that, and a team of incredible, lots of volunteers coming more and more every day, cycling through to do the fine detailed cutting so that we can pull big pieces apart and lift them up the cliff.
I mean, it is so exciting to see the way this community's come together.
Get in there with the knife and just go. Right here. There's like a little red.
So I've lost count of how many pieces we've done now, probably 4 or 5, maybe 6. And every one has been a little bit different. Everyone's taken another challenge for how to tie into it or get it up. And it's been wonderful just seeing how that problem's been solved every single time. And it's pretty much working really well. I'm impressed.
The cat's going to come around up here on the cliff, and with the winch, the cable's going to come down here and be able to really yard on this stuff. So get a good purchase, and a better purchase.
You know, all these students, they're coming from Santa Rosa, Eureka, they're coming from Sonoma State and Humboldt State. We wanted to have students from marine biology programs to give them an educational opportunity here.
purposes. You know, it's very rare to get a whole blue whale skeleton. There's information that we're going to get out of the tissues that are being sent to scientists all over the world, essentially, that are coming from this whale. That's going to help us understand more about, you know, the biology of these whales and about what happened to this whale. It's a population that's increased a lot, and that's probably as a result of the cessation of whaling. You know, some people say this is the best year that we've ever had because there's a lot of krill in the ocean. This is a very good year for krill. So animals that ate krill, like cassinsochlids, blue whales, humpback whales, were very common and close to shore, and so it was a good year for them. You know, these animals could live 70 to 100 years, so that's a long time.
Well, at 70 feet, she's certainly sexually mature. She's at least 15 years old. One thing we're going to look for are the ear bones. And there's a woman that specializes in modeling how their ears work, and by doing high definition CAT scans on them. And then she can get an understanding and predict what frequencies they could hear, where their hearing sensitivity is. They produce sounds that we can't hear because they're so low in frequency, like 10, 20 hertz, and infrasonic. And they're about 180 decibels loud when they make their own sounds, 180, 190, somewhere in there. If you're standing next, that's louder than if you're standing right next to a jet engine about to take off. They produce incredibly loud sounds. They have to, because water is very dense. It takes a lot of energy to get sound going, but once it's going, it goes for a very long way. And there's valid speculation that they can, thousands of miles, can hear each other.
Yeah, we'll use the big ones when we go to drag the main section up the hill. Yeah. Okay. So use the blue tongs right there, hook the blubber, and we'll open up that cut and finish cutting through it. Okay.
The blue whale makes the loudest biological sound known, but they can't hear the radar or the sonar that's being used on this boat because it's at a frequency much higher than our hearing and their hearing. The things we're hoping to do is get the ears and stuff like that to get them set off to somebody to analyze them to see if there was any damage to it. Baleen whales don't have sonar, so we don't know how they navigate. It's not really figured out yet. One of the things that they are sampling, they'll take some hair off the chin of this whale because I think that the sensory hairs may have something to do with how they find their way.
So this has been an amazing combination between just cutting manual labor, so the Ormiga strategy, the ant strategy, going in and it's little activity, with the heavy equipment to be able to move it up and out of here in sections.
I'm coming from Roche Brothers, so they called me if they want to help and try to do something because they need somebody to know how to run the line. Working with my friend on the CAT, it's very interesting because it makes a lot of difference when I'm logging. When I log the logs instead of logging that well, it's totally different. So we have to be running up and down with the line.
And way forward, we've skinned the entire whale. We've taken all the throat grooves off and pretty much taken all the blubber off. With the heavy machinery here, we're able to grab onto one end of it and just peel it. Just pull on it hard enough and it would peel, rip the connective tissue apart, and it was wonderful. It was very effective. And you can see the whole pile of it up there. And now we can work on the bones. Now we slide big chunks of this up on the hill, then we lift the bones away from the blubber pad that's the other side of her, and then the bones get taken to be buried. And on these animals, their throat goes from their lower jaw all the way down to their navel, which was like right out over there. So if you had pictures, you'll see pictures of it when she was way inflated. that whole volume she fills with water, time and time again all day long throughout her life, a volume of water that weighs more than she does. This is about 3/5 down the way from her nose, so it's just before the dorsal fin, kind of in the highest part of her body, somewhere in there. And so they described the whale coming to the surface and breathing a few times, then turning on her side, probably dead. So in that she had her spinal cord cut twice. Boom, boom, right now. It was quick. So that's the story from the anatomy.
All right.
You know, this is a very small population here in a remote area with limited resources, and people are stepping up to the plate. No one that I have asked for help here has said no. Everyone has said yes. What can I do? This is going to be huge for the community to have this skeleton set up here. And the people here are so resourceful and fabulous. I'm so proud to say that I'm a member of this community.